welcome to the Fixing Football Podcast, a special episode this week. It's just me, and I'm joined by a special guest. We have Jack from Into Legends FC. You might have seen this week that there's been some Legends matches while we've been on the international break. We've had Liverpool v Chelsea. There's a few of the old lads got some kits on. Anyone who's been on social media might have seen Andrea Pirlo curling one in against Tottenham, which was fun to see. So, but one team that did catch our eyes was the Into Legends FC boys. And like I said, I'm joined by Jack. Jack, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, like I said, we had a big tournament yesterday, so a little bit of recovery today, but I'm all good, mate.
Good. So let's get straight into it. What is Into Legends FC?
So it's a team of ex-pros that basically they still can play football, they still want to play football, but they don't want the commitment of like training twice a week or 5 times a week or whatever, and having regular matches. So what we found was when we started, the concept of it, we originally was going to do 1 match a year, but the boys were quite interested about, trying to do as many games as they can whilst they still can, and having something a bit competitive but still low touch. People have lives now and families and stuff and whatever as well. So yeah, it's just a team of ex-pros that basically travel around the country raising money for charity, and competing with charity teams or local teams. Anybody that fancies challenging us, really, we try and get as many games as we can. But yeah, it's a good group of lads.
So do you have like one charity that you guys are raising money for? Or is it just sort of whichever club you play and you do it between yourselves and decide it that way?
Yeah, we have been approached by quite a lot of charities to work exclusively for them, but we think that there's so many worthy causes out there, and what we tend to find is because there's like 30 people on our roster, that one charity will make sense for us to go and work with because someone's like Justice for Fathers, or like sick kids charities, or whatever they are, someone's got a touch point to it as well. So if it makes sense for us and we want to get behind it, and there are, like I said, so many great charities out there, we want to try and raise as much money for lots of people in need. But we do sometimes have like matches where we played at Northampton Town last year, and we've raised for J3 Foundation.
Okay.
So we do sometimes have specific like charities for certain matches, but then we just try and raise for as many as we can. But sometimes it works a bit different as well, where a charity will say to us, "Look, we want you to raise money for us. We've got this stadium booked. Can you come and put a team in, and we'll go and raise exclusively for that charity."
Oh, cool. So for those who don't know or aren't aware of Into Legends, give us a few names, a few of the top stars who people might see when they come watching.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting because when we first started up the concept, I'd say we had 2 or 3 players that were like, yeah, look, we want to get behind it. So the first one we got in touch with was Aaron McLean. We sort of know mutually, we know a few people, and that's how it kind of came about. But since that point, he sort of said, I can get this person, I get that person, and we go through a lot of like making sure we get the right sort of people, the right sort of attitude, the right sort of personality to come into the team to make sure it balances out the team. So we often have people come in and then they leave the matches as well because either it's not for them, or we feel like we want to ensure that we're doing what we can and represent ourselves best as a club. But I say the regular ones we get now is Kieran Clark. He plays regularly for us. Aaron McLean, both of them part in the club as well. So they part in it with myself and Sean Wallace and a couple of other guys as well. And yeah, we have Kieran Clark, Henry Lansbury, Aaron McLean. We've got Craig McHale-Smith, Luke Guttridge. We have Lee Tomlin play for us. Cool. Loads and loads of players that sort of come and go. We've had like Ricky Lambert. We had Ian Holloway as a guest manager for a match for us as well. So it's great.
I said the dude off the Chase. Is it Sean? Is it Sean Wallace?
Sean Wallace, he's our manager.
That's so cool. I mean, how did he become to get involved? That was going to be one of my questions, actually, is how do you go about recruiting him? But I guess it only starts with one, and then it can snowball from there. But how did Sean Wallace get involved?
Yeah, I kind of knew him. I didn't really know him, but I knew somebody who knew him, and he used to be semi-pro, or he used to be a trainee at somewhere, Chelsea, I think it was. um, and he just loved football. He really really loves football, and obviously he does quite a lot of charity work as well. And we originally got him in for one game, and um, it was just he just loved it. He just got really behind it. All the boys really connected with him. The crowd really connected with him, and he just said, "Look," he goes, I'm obviously very very busy, but I'm more than happy to do as many games as I can if you guys want me." And we just said, "Yeah, look, it makes sense for you to be involved." So he's gone from just being manager to being part owner of the club as well, and it just shows his commitment to the cause as well. So yeah, it's
cool.
great to have him.
So what's your background then, Jack? What's your background, and how did you? I guess you came up with the idea, or run the team sort of on the back end a little bit. How do you become into Legends?
Yeah, so I owned a business with my dad and my brother called Beer Lanyard, which basically does like festival accessories.
Okay.
And we managed to work with some great brands out there. We worked with like PDC Darts at Ali Pali. We worked with Estrella, Strongbow at festivals and stuff. And we worked with loads of like sporting brands. But the one thing we could never get into was football because of legislation of drinking in view of the pitch.
Right. Okay.
Our product didn't really work. So, funny enough, sometimes things just happen. And I went to a pub one day with one of our products, and the chairman of Northampton Town was there and just said, "That's really cool. Like, I really like it." He was there with Jim Rose. He was with Jim Rosenthal, the old commentator.
Yeah.
And they were both like, "Look, we loved it. We really think it's good." And there was conversations of us potentially, him becoming a business advisor or potentially coming, on board and stuff. And we never really made it work. But I had a real, connection with him, and I really liked him. And I still, speak to him now about business ideas and
Cool.
doing stuff. And he, one of the things he said to me was, "This is perfect for football fans. You need to get it into stadiums." And every time we've spoke to clubs, they go, "Really like it, but can't drink in a stadium.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense." But he said, "Look," he goes, "Why don't you do an event at our stadium, and you can sell it to people there because it's your event." And we spun up the idea of having like a headline concert at Northampton Town or whatever. And he basically gave me the stadium for free. And I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about music industry or anything like that. So I started looking at insurances and like health and safety for putting an event on that size. And I thought,
Yeah.
it's out of my depth. But the chairman just said to us, he said, "Look, you still got the pitch, do something." And I said, "I'm going to put a football match on." And I basically called all of my best mates. I said, "I've got this pitch. I'm going to take on Spurs legends." I'm a Tottenham fan. So when I went to a Spurs game, I collared some of the legends there and said, "Look, I've heard you've got a legends team. Can we give you a game?" And we played them, and I tried to reach out to people, and not a lot of people turned up. And I thought, "Oh God, it's going to be a disaster." But the chairman said to us as well, "If you don't sell over 600 tickets, it's you're not going to raise any money for charity because that's how much our costs are for staff." And he said, to be honest, we did a Northampton Legends match and we only sold 600 tickets. And
Wow.
we went and sold 3,800, which was the allocation he gave us. So
Nice.
so we realised there was proof of concept in it, and people were watching me and my mates play football, and I thought if people are paying money to come and watch this, if we can get some actual decent names out there, then it'll be people have more appetite for it. So got Aaron on board, got a couple of other boys, and just said, "Look, this is what I want to do." And afterwards, I expected people to go, "Yeah, I'm not really bothered about playing," but they all said, "Let's just keep doing it. Let's just see how far we can take it." And then from there, the reason why it's called Into Legends now, because originally it's called Beer Lanyard FC, was we had Sky quite interested in coming down and doing something with us. So we're still in talks to them now about potentially doing a project and doing something. But obviously, to make it a little bit more for like sponsors to work with us, we had to lose the beer element to it.
That makes sense.
So it's that's it. That's how I got involved.
Wow. You half answered it then a little bit, but I was going to say what sort of challenges have you faced in terms of building up the name, the club, obviously getting people in is the main one. But another question, I guess, off the back of that, and anything you haven't already mentioned, but what sort of challenges have you come up against in terms of getting on matches or getting people in and selling tickets and stuff like that? Is that a big one?
Yeah, I think the main challenges we have is, everyone that comes, they love it, like from players, fans, and stuff. But it's just about building that awareness. Like even this event we did yesterday, everyone came and said, "Oh, it's actually really good. I didn't expect it to be that good." And
Yeah.
it's just about building that base and trying to be patient with it as well. But I guess that the things that we do struggle with is, you'll be surprised, but football's such a beautiful game, and it's given some of these ex pros a life to live from and stuff. But when you
Yeah.
say to them, do you want to come to a charity match? Some of them say, "Oh, I need a fee to come and play," and some of the fees we get told is like, astronomical. So I'll just basically say to them, like, look, we're raising money for a dying young girl who needs life-saving surgery. All the money goes to that.
Wow.
I'm not going to take money out of her pocket to give you something so you can basically come and kick a ball about around a pitch. So, still to this day, like, you do, that's what I mean by trying to find the right people to come into the team and stick around with us. And you very quickly find out who them people are who want to do it for the right reasons, and most of them are already involved in charities anyway, so it's quite easy to pick them out.
Of course,
Um,
yeah.
but it has, like, if we've not even been running for a year, and from that first point to where we are now, it's definitely grown, and it's on that right sort of projection to keep going and seeing, really how far we can take it.
I've always been fascinated with it, just out of interest, and you don't have to name any names. But what's the highest figure you've been quoted for a fee to get one of these players down?
I actually got quoted one for yesterday. That was £20,000 for one match.
Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Jesus, right?
Yeah,
Well,
so we got that. I think the usual one's probably like £500. People ask for £500 quite a
yeah,
lot. But we're to be honest, we're good to the boys, like, because they give up their time, and I just want to make it accessible for them to come, and it's easy for them to come. So, what we tend to do is we tend to say to a hotel, right, we've got all these ex pros coming down, they're going to post stuff on social media.
yeah.
You can take photos of it, get a signed shirt and stuff. And last night, we was in a hotel, and they gave us 6 rooms, they put dinner on for us, they give us
Oh,
breakfast,
nice.
everything. So the boys that come, like if they do turn up, we'd either pay for like train tickets for them, or pay petrol money if they come from far. Like Fraser Campbell plays for us quite regularly, and he travels. I think the last match he played for us, he travelled 6 hours to get to the match.
Wow. What's he playing
You
then
know,
now?
yeah, he plays for us. Yeah, he's one of the good boys. He is.
Good, good. He was at I think I saw him. Was he playing in the FA? FA do a team, don't they, where the people who are out of contracts can go and play.
Yeah,
I'm sure I saw him playing in that not so long ago.
yeah,
So like Cal
probably.
Jenkinson was in there as well.
Yeah, no, yeah. A few of them still, like, I mean, Kieran Clark, he's easily the best football player I've seen up close,
Really?
and he's just amazing. Like, we would be playing the match, and at half time we say, "Oh, it's nice to not get out of first gear." And I think, Kieran, get out of first gear, and you go, "All right," and then he'll go up the other end and score 3 goals. And the last 3 games he's played for us, he scored hat trick every game from centre back.
It's a different level.
Yeah.
Professional. I mean, I'm sure you like me. You've played, and you've played in Sunday League, and even you might have even played to. I mean, what's the highest sort of level you've played at? Just in yourself.
I've not played anywhere decent. When I was 16, I went to Bugbrook St Michael, so I don't know what step that is.
Okay.
In Northamptonshire, but that was United Counties League. So
Right,
I did under 18s there, and then broke into the reserves there. But I just didn't really enjoy football, to be honest, when I was younger. Like, I know it sounds stupid because I love doing it now, but I
Yeah.
just couldn't. As a 16-year-old, I didn't want to commit to. In some of the matches, we were traveling 3 hours to away matches.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got to be there
Especially
at 12. Yeah, you got to be there at 12. You play a match, and then you go for a couple of beers after and stuff. And I just wanted to do other things, really. And I was quite, as a young age, I kind of sort of realised that I was never going to make it anywhere, and I probably wouldn't make a full-time living out of being a footballer. So I thought, why am I wasting my time doing it? But I still enjoyed playing football, but more to the point of like 5s, 7s, 8s, and 9s.
Yeah.
Rather than doing like the 11-a-side Saturday, and it got to the point where I was playing Sunday League, and he was getting kicked every single day, and you come out of injuries, and you couldn't go work the next day and stuff. And I thought, I don't want it anymore.
It's such a big one. I know we have got a bit of a Sunday League special plan with a few of the old heads from some of our teams from around here, but I made it and went playing like semi-professionally a few of the leagues up here. For Ashton Athletic, and then for Nelson, then like the Northwest Counties, or I'm not sure what leagues they're in now. Both teams doing very well, but it was like training 3 times a week, and then it's a Tuesday night, and I'm going training in Wigan, which is 40-minute drive from me now, and then we're playing Stafford on a Tuesday night. I'm like, well, that's 2.5 hours away. I've got a job.
Yeah,
it's like there's such a big step in between like that semi-pro. But anyway, back to my original point. That level, when you come up with someone like Kieran Clark, who's sort of fresh. Is he actually fully retired? Kieran Clark?
I don't know. I think it depends what day you ask him of the week. Like I've sort of said to him, like we've played at like Maidstone, and a couple of them have said, "Oh, can we sign him?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, you probably could go and make a living out of it. Do you know what I mean? You could literally, still earn a good dough out of it as well and play." And he just says, "I'm happy doing this." He goes, "I like doing this. It's low touch. I'm, got a family now, spend time with my kids and everything." And he loves it. To be fair, he's been good as gold. I was with his best mate last night at this tournament, and Kieran couldn't play for us yesterday because he had to go down to London for the Borders League. He's actually just come up and said his name on this thing is manager Luis Figo, which I said to him, try and sign him, get him to come play for us.
That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but his best mate said to me, he was saying, Kieran's such a good lad to have in the team because he's just got a heart of gold. Like, if I ever needed anything from him, whether that be reach out to this player or do this for me or whatever, in a heartbeat he would do it. And there's 4 or 5 of them, and that's why that I said to him, look, I don't want you to just be a player. I've just seen him on TV now, so as I'm talking about him, I can see him. Yeah, but as a player, I didn't want him to just be involved as a player. I wanted him to come in and be part owner with me to, hopefully one day we, not make money from it or anything, but we want to try and go to the point where I was having a conversation with some of the boys last night, and they said, I got interviewed on one of these podcasts, and they said, what's the vision? And I said, I want to have a stadium. I want to go and buy a stadium, and I want to put it on like a proper thing and have like Netflix or Sky Sports or someone come and follow us around, because you see things like Ted Lasso, for example. That's probably where I got the idea from when I went to Richmond and I saw the shop they've got there. Well, first of all, I saw it in LA and I hadn't seen the show yet. And I went to LA and they had the shirts there for sale. And I thought, what's this? I thought, why have they got football shirts for sale? And then I thought, this is mad. This is a make-believe thing. And you look at Wrexham as well. Like, they've done so well out of it. And people want to see, like, people are interested. Everyone asks me, what's the highest fee you've been quoted, or what's this, and what's, who's nice, who's not nice and stuff. And people want to see, we were close to actually getting Nanny down to our tournament, the old Man United player yesterday.
Nice.
And I was skiing with my wife, and he sort of messaged on Instagram and said, yeah, well, I'll come. And I was like, are you really going to come? He was like, yeah, I'm coming. Like, ring this number. Like, it's my manager, sort it out and stuff. And he was playing a charity. He was playing charity match in Werder Bremen on Saturday. So I'm literally flying back from skiing in France, and I'm trying to, on my phone, my phone's dying. I'm messaging him, calling his manager. I'm trying to sort out all these flights and stuff. And he's like, right, my match kicks off at 6. I was like, right, the only flight you can get is 8:30, but you're obviously not going to be done by then, so I can't do that. And then Sunday morning, the only flight that could get him into UK was one that flew into Heathrow. And to get him up to Tamworth was like 4 hours drive from there. And I thought it lands at about 11 o'clock. And by the time he got there, the tournament would probably be over. So he said, next time I'll come and I'll join you boys for a game. But to have some of them names coming out, it's just like, it's crazy to me. Yeah,
that's it. And then it might only just take one nanny to do you a favour at some point, and then you never know where that snowballs into after a bit. Then so, and that's what you need, and it's just having good guys around in it, I suppose, and keeping them connections tight and being friendly with everyone, and just doing like the right thing and having the right people around.
Yeah, that's it. It's just about, that's it. Like I said, like it is so much for us to bring in a good culture. I'm so like passionate about doing that to ensure that we are getting the right boys in, because people come out and they support these charities and stuff, and some of them just want to come and get something signed, like a sticker or a poster or whatever of some of these boys playing when they used to play.
100%.
And if you get the wrong person in, they disappear after the match and they don't want to do anything. They go, and then all you see is 5 or 6 people that are well disappointed, and they go, well, this person came, but they left after the game and just went straight away and didn't stay in anything. But our boys, I say I'm quite lucky, but I end up paying the bar bill at the end. But our boys are the last ones in the bar in all these matches because they love reminiscing about old times. Like the amount of people that say to Aaron McLean, "Oh, I was there when you scored this goal," or "I was there when you done this," and
Nice.
they love hearing about it. So we all stick around. Last night, I had a bit of a pinch me moment where I was in a drag bar. I don't know how we ended up there, but it was in this drag bar last night at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm singing. I can't remember what song I was singing, but I was singing with Leroy Lita and Derek Asamoah on karaoke, and I thought, what on earth am I doing? What is my life now?
Them bingo card things that you had at the start of your
Yeah.
life. That was never on anyone's.
I know, and it's crazy because I went to school in Northampton, so when I played, like when I was 8 or whatever, we won a primary school like nationwide tournament, I think it was, and we ended up playing at, I think it was at Derby County's ground. We went and played there, but because we won the Northampton district, Northampton Town invited us down to play on the pitch at half time. And I mean, I'm 8 years of age in this story, and Derek Asamoah, well, for some reason, I don't know why, I just liked him. I think he scored a couple of goals that game. And I've got a photo of me in the changing rooms with him. And now he plays for my football team. And,
That's
he's probably like one of my best mates. And, in the photo, he's like 20 or 25 or something. And I'm 8 years of age, and he's brilliant. He's good as gold.
Wow. Right. Well, we will carry on this trip down memory lane in a minute. I've still got some more questions. But we're going to have a quick break and then we'll be back after this short message. And we are back. I'm still here with Jack from Intelligence FC. And I do have some more questions, but I wanted to. You mentioned Henry Lansbury in the first one, and he just rings. I have this connection with Henry Lansbury that he doesn't know about, but I'm like very affiliated with him. I'm an Arsenal fan. I know you mentioned you're a Tottenham fan, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But, I remember I started. So I was going still up until getting to 18, still trying to be a professional footballer, and it wasn't happening. And it just. It was as I signed as semi-pro at 18, and I thought, it took me this long to get here. I don't think it's going to happen. So it was like that moment I reached the highest I could ever play. That was the moment that I realised it was never going to happen. So it's like, but the day I started my apprenticeship, outside of, I did like a welding apprenticeship when I left high school. On my first day, it was the Arsenal v Liverpool game, and I don't know if it was the 4-4 Arshavin won, or it was the game where Julio Baptista scored for. It was one of them two games, but it was Arsenal v Liverpool, and Henry Lansbury was the same age as me on the bench for Arsenal that night, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like I just had this like weird. I watched him and seen this hyper and this lad from the academy, and the day that I was starting my apprenticeship, he was on the bench for Arsenal. I was just like, I don't think it's going to happen. So our lives have just gone off on these two different tangents. Not that they were ever intertwined at all, but he's just like, because we were the same age, I was like, oh, that's it. Do you find that the players who were involved use it as their way of giving back as well, or do you think it helps them just to like staying involved and staying around the game?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, really. I think like everyone gets something out of giving back. They feel they do something, and when we like tell them how much we raise, some matches we're raising like 10 grand, to charity and stuff, and they are, they can see what we're doing, and they see, the causes that we're working for, and it does make sense to them. But part of it is life is so busy, right, for everyone, and some of these boys have played together for years, or they know each other through the circuit and stuff. They don't have the time to get together, so it's sometimes an escape from life as well, where we can say,
Yeah.
right, this is where we're going, we're doing this match here, blah blah blah, we've got a hotel, whatever, everyone can stay there, we'll go for drinks, we'll go for dinner and that, and they can just get away from life for a day and just come and do it and do something they love, and come back and enjoy the banter and the camaraderie of a football match, like I said, with a low touch, non-committal point of view.
Yeah.
So I think they like it from that. But you see, when the players go over the white line, the competitiveness of them, it's crazy. It is mental. Like, we're like, it's a charity game, do you know what I mean? Like, and for me, like, we've never lost a game, and for me, I'd love to keep that record up, but for me, I just want to go and raise as much money for charity and just do these events as much as we can. But some of the boys are like, we don't let this sit, we don't lose it, we don't lose any games. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
That never leaves them. Yeah, I played.
Yeah.
So one random day, I got a call from. It was Wrigley's. I don't know how this happened, but it was from There's chewing gum company, and they said I'd come second. I was the runner-up in some competition, and it was a competition to play. I don't even remember entering. I don't even know how this happened. It was so random. But my name must have been in some database, and I was available. And they were like, "Can you play at the Reebok tonight at Bolton Wanderers Stadium?" And at the time, I lived like 5 minutes away. And I was like, yeah. And it was for a charity organisation called Football Aid. This is way before Soccer Aid had come around, the popular one that you see on ITV. But this is Football Aid, and basically the idea behind that is you go online, you pay for your position, you can get sponsored, or you can pay a couple £100, pay for your position. You basically get to play on the club's pitch of your choice in like home or away, and then there's a legend on each side. So there's like 15 places. Anyway, one of these positions become available. They rang me up. You've won a competition. Do you want to come down? It was the maddest feeling. And that was the first time I'd like played on a proper stadium pitch. There was a crowd. It's like crazy. But the legends who played with us were Mike Whitlaw and David Lee. I don't know if you remember either of them.
No, I don't.
Yeah, they both had the best spells in their careers for Bolton Wanderers. David Lee is he won't mind me saying because we're friends still, but he's an older guy. He's really famous for this one game he had away at Anfield one night where he absolutely tore the famous Liverpool back four at the time from the early 80s. He tore them apart. Bolton won. I just know because he must tell the story 3 times a week at Sportsman's Tennis and stuff. But yeah, he was absolutely rapid. Just still so competitive. Was this like exactly the same as you're saying? It was just a proper charity game with 18 amateurs and 2 ex-professionals, and they were going for it hell for leather. It was class. But yeah, that turning it on, they'll never lose that spark of what would you call that, fire in the belly, the competitive edge, I guess, that the difference is between them and us mere mortals, us people who just love the game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and they do never lose it. And even at this tournament yesterday, was doing this 5-a-side Legends tournament. Some of them were so competitive to try and win this thing, and I'm just sitting there thinking it's something I've just made up. Do you know what I mean? Like into Legends Cup or whatever it is, and everyone. Even to the point, Man City won it. We did like a City Legends team, and Stephen Ireland was the captain. And he came up to me and said, "Do you want this trophy back? Like I got a pretty decent trophy, like a good size and that." And he was like, "Do you want this back, or can I take it home?" And I was like, "Do you actually want to keep it?" He was like, "Yeah, I've never won any silverware in my career." And he was like, "I'm going to go home and put some Guinness in it and drink for me." I was like, "Yeah, mate." I was like, "Keep it by all means."
So I was going to say. So I did have one question, but tell us about yesterday. Is yesterday the format that you will go at where you'll have like a couple 5-a-side matches going on at the same time, or will you do like the 11-a-side thing as well? Is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, we're going to do both. So we worked with Vision Football Factory in Tamworth, and the reason why we worked with them is because it's owned by Harley Dean from Reading, who plays for Reading, and Troy Deeney, and there's a couple other partners in it as well. There's like 5 or 6 of them that own it, but because of the connection with Harley Dean and Troy, they were like, "Oh, come down, like we'd love to do something with you." And Troy's going to do a couple of events with us later in the year, but we we started speaking to him, and you said like, let's just try this and do it as like a proof of concept and stuff. And yesterday there wasn't a charity assigned to the tournament, because it was more for us to basically, it was like a pickup game for us, where we brought all these legends down, and we went around and just said like, we want to pick up these guys and whatever. And these guys look like they're good, we want to bring them into the team and the fold and stuff. And not only that, but we also wanted to raise awareness for what we're doing, because we are a charity-based team, and getting people in for that. And there was the point where Sky Sports were trying to come down, but they couldn't get a presenter in to come down to the event. But to have even the conversation with Sky is just nuts, to think that something's coming from it. But we want to do something with vision, where they've got some ideas from a business perspective. We was kind of speaking about after a few Guinnesses last night, saying this is where we want to go. We've been approached by after this event we did yesterday, we've been approached by a company in Dubai to do something over there, and then also one in Ibiza and one in Los Angeles as well. So
Nice.
we do feel like we can branch out. And originally when I first started it, I thought we might do one game a year, but now we're traveling up and down the country doing all these matches, and we could potentially be traveling the world with it as well. So I think
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't really want to set any boundaries of what it is. I know that there's some great charities that want us to go and play, and like I said, like I'd say we've got 2 matches next month, 11-a-side ones, and then from May we're fully booked right up until September, and then we've got 1 match in October. So every single weekend we're doing something, and it's just, and they're all 11-a-side matches. But yesterday just showed like how the art of the possible is. The reason why I sort of reached out to Harley and said to him, look, I want to do this event, because I remember I used to watch Masters football, right? And that was wicked, wasn't it? Yeah, and I used to love watching it, and that's just disappeared, and like it's not really around anymore. Where I used to watch that all the time, and I used to see like old school players come and play it and stuff. And I just kind of felt like there's got to be a gap in the market where someone can reinvent the Masters side of things, where it's not going to be on wooden floor. You can do it on a 4G pitch and stuff. And we just said, right, let's do it. We, between the 3 of us, we know enough ex-pros to come and play, and to put decent teams in and stuff. And that's why we wanted to do it, because we just wanted to do something that's Masters football style, but 2025. And then obviously, I think the day we announced it, the Baller League got announced as well, and a couple of our players went and played in some of them teams. But I still think, I'm watching this Ballers League now as I'm talking to you, and it is the most confusing thing ever. You don't need to reinvent the wheel with football. It's a great game, whatever you do. But for us yesterday, it was great to be able to do these sort of matches and have a look at, what, like I said, people coming in and seeing if any of them want to come in. There was one point where I was stood at the bar with Jolyon Lescott, Stephen Ireland, Nathan Manua, Danny Drinkwater, and I was thinking, there's some international players here. There's also some Premier League winners, like FA Cup winners and stuff. And they've just come down to this, football factory that is in the middle of Tamworth. And, we was in a pub the night before the match. We went down on Saturday because it's quite a long drive. And I was in a pub and I was speaking to somebody, and they were like, they couldn't quite get their head around that all these players were coming to Tamworth. They were like, but why are they coming to Tamworth? Because there's nothing here. And I was like, I was like, there's like, there's this football factory here and this is where we're playing. They were like, yeah, but why would they want to come to Tamworth? And I was like, well, like we're just coming here to do this match and raise awareness and stuff. And people just loved it from that. Even I think that's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things for us, going back to an earlier question where you said, what is one of the hardest things is raising awareness for these events. When we go to these things and, we put money into advertising and, we try and promote them as much as possible. And to be fair, the boys will share it on their socials and stuff. But, when you go to a pub and you think we spent X amount of £1,000 on advertising this event and flyering and whatever else, and you still go to a pub and, like the person said, Tamworth ain't a big place and there's not much to do. And you go in a pub and suddenly you sold 30 tickets to it on the night of, because people just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. You've got to throw things in people's face for them to understand. Like I said, everyone's busy, not just ex-professional footballers and people trying to get the business off the ground. It's everyone is busy. So if you don't throw it in the face, they ain't gonna know. And it's just, you might catch that one thing on Instagram, or you might catch that one poster on the side of a bus stop, and it's like, oh, there's that thing. So
Yeah.
it's such a challenge, and like getting this thing off the ground. I'm really hopeful that it does become something for you. Like what I was going to say is I've got two last final questions that are a bit more aspirational. But what has been the most memorable thing so far for you as part of the organising group behind Intelligence?
Me personally, mine is a very selfish one. I scored the first ever goal for Interlegends when we
That's
played at
what.
Northampton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it don't need to be talking about Julian Lescott and all this. This is all about
Yeah.
you. This is Jack's time.
But I mean, what I'm not going to tell you is it was handball and it ricocheted off somebody, hit my hand and went in. But, you know, they say every goal counts. And I think it was 60 seconds into our first game against Spurs legends and Neil Sullivan was in goal. And I just thought, again, you know, I was like, this is just crazy that I've just done that in front of 3,800 people. But, you know, that was probably one of my biggest memories. But I still get excited by, like I said, when Nanny drops you a message or someone says, "Oh, this person's coming" or whatever, and I think that's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't imagine it being to this sort of level. You know, same with like Jolien Lescott yesterday being there, and I just had to go up to him and just say, "Look, thank you so much for donating your time to what we're trying to do and stuff. And, you know, if you ever want to come and play again," and, you know, he has the same reaction as everyone. He goes, "I'm busy, you know, if I can make it, I'll make it. But I actually really enjoyed it today and I would definitely do something like this again." So it's great that people out there are, you know, we're doing the work and trying to get people to come into it as well. But we still get, you know, me and my mates, we sat around at breakfast this morning after the match, and I said it was just a real surreal moment yesterday doing that, and then also doing karaoke with like Leroy Lita at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we just have to sometimes sit back and think this is weird. And, you know, Sean Wallace couldn't come yesterday. He was filming the chase, and he sent me a video just off his own back saying like, play this before the match and said like, good luck in the tournament, blah blah blah, and whatever else, and all of this, and then he also then FaceTimed me afterwards, and he was on a train back, and he said, "How'd you get on then? Did you win?" And I said, "Nah, City won it." I was like, but, you know, it's, you know, things like that. It's still good. And, you know, my dad loves the chase. He loves Bradley Walton. He just can't get his head around that Sean Wallace is here and I've got his phone number, you know, so it's brilliant.
So how, a bit more maybe a serious one, but how do you measure the success of this, of Intelligence so far? What is there something that you would say successful? Is it just the next event, then getting this one off the ground, then the next one, then the next one? What does a job well done look like for you, really?
Yeah, I think for us it's, you know, getting feedback from people and hearing them say they had a good time and stuff, and what we've started to see now is on a really, really small scale, but we're getting the same like 20-30 people come to our matches. Like there was a young lad there and he messages us all the time on Instagram asking about our events and everything, and I've seen him at the last, I'd say 5 or 6 matches we've done. And he always comes up and says, "Oh, you know," and, you know, there's a family that follow us round, and their sons always ask me for my shin pads and stuff, and ask me to sign their shirts and things like that. So, you know, that part of it I really like, because we're building that following, we're building a bit of a community there. But even, you know,
it's so important.
It's massive. But even from like the event we did yesterday is the first time where I think all the boys have brought all their families and stuff, because we had like inflatables there and whatever else and things like that. And, you know, again, it's probably after a few beers, but Leroy Lita's pulling me aside at 4 o'clock in the morning saying to me, "What you've done today is massive, not just because of, you know, of us not getting together, but also the families getting together and them coming out for a day out and stuff." And I think his wife or his wife's friend or something, I don't know which one it was, but she messaged on Instagram saying, "I really enjoyed it. I'll definitely be back to watch again." So, you know, we're building not just for the families that come and watch us, but also for the boys' families as well. And but I think our true measure for success is always going to be how much money we can raise for charity. That's, you know, what we're in it for. It's not about the results of football. It's not about anything else or the names that come and play. You know, if I could do it, and, you know, with just my mates and stuff, and if it ever got to that point where all the pros said, "Oh, you know, I don't want to do it," as long as I was raising money for charity, then, you know, the team's going to carry on going. And you know, I think for me, I probably should have said this earlier in one of your early questions, but I started up a football team when I was about 21, a Sunday league team where, again, a similar sort of thing, really, right? You know, we left school and we all went our different ways and did jobs and whatever. And we would never ever text each other and say, do you want to go for a beer, or do you want to do this or whatever? And then one day we sat round the pub and everyone said, oh, when we used to play football together, it's brilliant, blah, 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 and all this and everything. And I just said to everyone, I went, right, everyone get a score out, everyone give me 20 quid, and I'll go and start a football team today. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, look, I said, we get to spend a Sunday together every single week. We'll go down a pub on a Sunday, watch football together, and we'll just be together. And from that moment when we started that team, I mean, this team went on to win the league and cup double in our first year. We got promoted like 2 leagues and stuff, and it was brilliant. It was so good. It was so good that we did that. But from that moment, I think if we didn't make that football team and we didn't play for, I think we played 4 or 5 years. If we didn't play for 4 or 5 years, we probably wouldn't speak as mates now. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what we're doing now with this, but on a much bigger scale, where someone will say, oh yeah, I know someone, like Leroy said to me last night, I know Aaron Lennon, I'll get him to come down because he'll love this. And you hear so much more about lads with mental health and stuff, and especially in football as well, right? All these boys are,
it's massive,
people think if they were on 200 grand a week or 50 grand a week or whatever it was, that they were set up for life. But people have real lives, and we speak to all of them and say, how are you doing, things like that, and they all love getting out of the house and doing something like this and doing it for a good cause as well, and that's why it's important for us to carry on doing this and trying to get as many people in of the right sort of culture to help us build.
Absolutely. Jack, I'm so happy that our paths have crossed and people like you exist and are doing things just for the good of it and for the good of football. And this is like why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, to end up speaking to people like you who are trying to just do something good that involves football. Fix this fucking shit thing that we're all spinning around on.
Yeah, definitely.
So my last question was going to be about future plans and stuff, but you seem to have answered that in sort of, you're not really putting a limit on it and where you're going, and the sky is the limit for this club. So I'm going to pick at a few. If you could pull out a few names, let's have some dream names who you potentially want. If there's anyone who might be retiring in the next couple of years, who you've got your eye on to say like, come and do a few. Or is there any dream name you'd love to get down, or any dream venue that you'd want to be at?
Yeah, well, for me being a Tottenham fan, I just, funny enough, had this conversation with my brother. He asked me the same question. He goes, who do you want? What's the player you're going to get to? And I said, well, I want Jermaine Defoe. I want him to come play for us because a lot of the boys know him, still can play football. You can tell that. And, he seems like a good character and stuff. And he gets involved in a lot of charity work. Seen it from that young Sunderland fan that passed away. He was involved in that off his own back. So he sort of fits the right sort of culture. And like I said, the boys know him and stuff and everything. And, but I would like to get someone like Rooney or someone like that and get a real household name. And not that some of the boys that we play with ain't household names, but I've got a hit list of people that I always try and reach out to, like Steven Gerrard, etc., etc.
Nice.
But they will come. It's like once we do these events and someone says, "Oh, I did this yesterday. It's great," and they'll say, "Oh, let me know next time and I'll come down." But in terms of the stadium, I think I'd be disappointed if we didn't play at Tottenham or Wembley. I think is probably the big one, home of football and everything. So, eventually I want to.
Someone can do it. I'm sure we can get a charity game on there.
Yeah, that's it. Like you see these things. The thing is, there's where we found our gap in the market was there's loads of charity teams, right? There's loads of people that do football, like this. So you have like ones that have EastEnders actors in it and everything and all of this. And I've been down to some of these matches and I must admit, I thought it was terrible because, like they doing things where they have 15 v 15 at a time and, it's not competitive and stuff. And I went to one of the matches and I thought, some of these people can't even kick a football. Like, I'm actually here to see decent players and stuff. Whereas what we wanted to do is we wanted to build a team where it is a bit of a challenge for people and they say, oh, yeah, we'll give you a game. Like, we'll come down to you or you come to us and we'll play against you and stuff. And, I just think... that's where we've got our gap in the market where we're not trying to get the most famous person to come down, although we had Jeremy Lynch at our tournament yesterday and I've never seen anyone be swarmed by kids as much as him. It was absolutely mental. It was it was eye-opening. It was crazy. And I always felt like I always used to think people should be able to give up their time to anybody who wants to get a photo or an autograph and stuff. But the amount he was getting hounded yesterday, I thought, oh, I can probably see it why you want to be, hidden away and have your hood up a little bit. So
Yeah,
that's fair enough. But I think for us, it's just about trying to find all them right sort of people. But like Defoe's, your Rooney's, all of them. I'd love to get Ronaldinho down for a match as well. But someone like that.
That's a massive one. So you mentioned Tottenham. Do you get too many Tottenham games at home?
I did before I started doing this because of like the weekends and stuff. Like, I got married last year, so my wife's a little bit like, you can only play a certain amount of matches a year because like some of them are Yorkshire, Wales, all these kind of places. Newcastle, I think we're going to Whitby Town as well. So as a team, we're scattered all over the country, right? And that's why we don't have a home ground. But I'd say 85% of us live Londonish area, Essex, Kent, Surrey sort of way. So it's hard for me to get down to Tottenham as much because if I'm playing Sunday and it's taking me 2 hours, 3 hours to drive there, play a match, come back, my wife's like, I've got to have one day of the weekend with you as well. So I've kind of had to sacrifice my matches at Tottenham, which I've very happily done this year because it was quite frustrating watching them. But yeah, I do try and go down as much as I can.
We went down there for there was a sports podcast awards earlier, towards the end of last year, and it was hosted at the Tottenham Stadium. That was the first time I'd got the chance to go since the new stadium had opened. It is an unbelievable stadium. It's just an amazing place, like just massive, just looks massive, like doesn't go into the ground at all, even though it's like some NFL thing. No parking, like couldn't park anywhere to save life. But that's the northern lad looking for a parking space right outside the door when everyone down in London's like on the tube and stuff.
It's a brilliant stadium. Funny enough, on my Facebook memories today, it came up saying 6 years ago I went to the first test event at the new stadium, and even in 6 years, I'm still amazed every single time I go. I actually went to a Madrid game, I think it was last year or the year before, and because they apparently have like the best stadium in the world in the Bernabeu since they've done it up, and honestly, I was disappointed when I went to it, and I thought to myself, if they came to the Tottenham Stadium, they would be a bit like, oh my god, this is what our stadium needs to be like. It's it's not on that level at all. Everything they can think of, even from like the tractable NFL pitch, and they've even got changing rooms in there for NFL players that are bigger, taller, for the sort of bigger sort of players and stuff, with more things for the players because they obviously have more in their team and everything. So it's
special. It is
special.
It pains me to say, being an Arsenal fan, but so yeah, I was going to say you can finish up on Tottenham season, but you sort of already did it then, because it's been a bit damp, hasn't it? There's not been much going on apart from his head down every couple of weeks.
It's a weird one because people always, my mates were saying to me last night, what do you think, you Ange in or Ange out? And I think sometimes I'm Ange in, but sometimes I'm Ange out. But it's just like, he's just got to be so less stubborn. We go 2-0 up in a game, and you think, right, put 11 people behind the ball now, just sit back and defend it for the last 20 minutes, and he'll try and score another goal. And it's exciting to watch for a neutral fan, but when it's your team, it's so frustrating because you're thinking, I don't really care whether we win beautiful or ugly. I want to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather than playing attacking football and losing 3-2. I'd rather go and win 2-0 and shut up shop and not let them touch the ball and not go down the other end at all for the last 20 minutes. But it's just,
it doesn't seem to have that in his locker, does he? He's just like, nope, keep going.
and as a Tottenham fan as well, when you go through all the different managers that we have, you can see it from, like, there's no right or wrong way. Like, we've had obviously Mourinho and Conte who sit behind the ball all the time, and that's frustrating. But I think in a way, when they were in it, I was thinking, I want someone who plays attacking football with a bit of flair and everything, and we've got that. But not all the time. It's just ridiculous. So, I kind of want to find that manager that comes in and does the balance that goes, we can go and score 2 goals, but we're not stupid enough to go and try and score 3 goals. We will sit back and try and defend our win. And I've had it the other way where we had a manager who, happily holds the ball for all of it, all the match, and then just basically goes, if we get 1 goal, I'm happy, and then we'll just sit behind the ball. And that's just as frustrating. But, I remember I went to the first game of the season, when Nuno Espresso Santos was in charge, and we had City, I think it was, and I went to the match and went down to Tottenham and everything, and we won 1-0, and I'm thinking to myself, I remember that feeling of going back and thinking that wasn't a great performance, but that's a great win for us. And he was all right. If you look at his stats and everything, he weren't too bad. And then you see him now at Nottingham Forest, and you think, how have we let him go? There's got to be something wrong with this club from the hierarchy of the club to say what's happening. Even like the players we're signing and stuff. To me, as a football club, you want to go and buy someone who's proven in the Premier League that can do it there. The amount of times that we've had someone come from abroad and they go, they're brilliant in the French league, or they're brilliant in like that Janssen we had up front. He was unbelievable in the Dutch league. Scored something like 30 odd goals. Came to us and I think he got 2 goals and 1 was a penalty. And you think it just shows how different the league is. And you need to have someone who's ready made to come in and go, yeah, okay, look, I've done it here before. I've worn T-shirt and everything, and I want to come here and come back and do it. And we just don't seem to get the recruitment right. We don't seem to get the managers right, and it's just frustrating.
It's either that. It's like sometimes you do get the recruitment, even if you go back to someone like a Modric, who's not an example of getting a player from a foreign league. You might just pull him out of nowhere, and then he becomes one of the best midfielders in the world. But then at the same time, you've got the defense might be falling apart. You're fucking around with managers and stuff, and it just never seems to be them two things intertwined, other than when Pochettino was allowed to sort of build his team for a little while. You mentioned something then, but so I'm suspecting that you are not necessarily Ange out, but you think another man might be on the way soon.
Yeah, I do. I think I think Daniel Levy doesn't give managers a lot of lifespan, and he's got to be thinking already. I think he's probably gone for the cheapest option with Ange Postecoglou, where he'd done it in the Scottish pub league, because that's what a lot of players call it. And he'd done it there, and he's done it in the Japanese league and stuff. But he's probably out of his depth. Funny enough, I was listening to TalkSport when I was cooking dinner today, and they were talking about Sean Dyche and Everton, and they were saying, oh, he wasn't the right manager. You should change your voice now. Look at what Everton's doing, blah, 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 and all this. And they're talking about Sean Dyche. Is he a Premier League manager, or is he a Championship manager? And the same with Scott Parker, where he comes up and gives it a go, like Fulham or somewhere, and really struggles. Goes down to the Championship, absolutely smashes it. And I think we've just got that in Ange as well, where he's just out of his depth. It's just a completely different ball league and stuff. And, when we're talking about fine margins, and we're talking about Kieran Clark being a great player and stuff, and seeing the level between him and someone who's played like semi-pro and stuff, the margins are, just their touches and stuff and everything is just crazy. And that's what he's finding out as well. He's trying to play out from the back with people that are going to shut you down quicker. They're going to get in your face quicker, and they're going to put pressure on people. And unfortunately, we haven't got defenders to play out from the back. We haven't got the goalkeepers to play out from the back. So when he's doing it, when he was doing it in Celtic and stuff, he was probably getting away with it because the players that were closing him down, that the opposition weren't as good. Whereas now he's coming up against teams that will let you know, and they will get in your face, like Haaland's and whoever else. And he's probably just out of his depth a little bit.
If you signed a player who'd only played in Japan and Australia and Scotland, you'd maybe be a bit concerned about his pedigree coming into the Premier League. So I don't see why it should be any different for a manager in terms of how they've seen and watched the game.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I don't like about him, originally when he first joined, I did really like him, and I thought, yeah, he's brilliant. He's a breath of fresh air. But I kind of felt like the one thing I don't like about him now is when he's winning, he's joking with the press, and he's having a laugh and doing all this kind of stuff and all of that. But when he loses, he throws his dummy out the pram, and that's what's making the headlines now. Is Ange says this, Ange does that, and everything. You've seen it with other managers like Klopp. complains about the wind and the weather and everything, and Arteta does it with the football for the FA Cup and stuff. And and I just think we've never really had a manager like that. And over the last couple we've had, like Conte, Mourinho, and now Ange as well, they're the ones that are coming out in the press and doing all this kind of stuff. And you see the same pattern forming when they're happy in their job, and when they're not, that's when they start doing that sort of like, that horrible sort of press conference.
Yeah.
And it must be because they're getting the pressure from above, and they know they're probably going out of their job. So I think now he's started to do that. He's either on his way out, unless he does, if he wins the Europa Conference, then I think, maybe, he probably will keep his job. But if he don't do that, I think he won't be long in his job.
So very refreshing to hear. I didn't expect a Tottenham fan to have literally the exact same views on Tottenham as what I do. So that's fair play. Jack, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, mate. Congratulations on everything with Inter Legends. The next time you're up this way, I'll come and do some DJing for you at the side of the pitch, something like that. Let's get involved. We'll do some bits, and some of the lads will come down as well and support.
Yeah, definitely, mate. That sounds good.
So you can catch Inter Legends. They're probably best places Instagram, right, Jack?
Yeah, Instagram, or just on our website for all of our fixtures as well.
Perfect. And so keep it with Inter Legends FC on Instagram. You can find all the details in the description below on this episode, or wherever you're listening to it, on Apple Music, Spotify. You can find all the details for any episodes and our social medias on our website, which is fixingfootballpodcast.com. Thanks again, Jack. Honestly, mate, it's been a real pleasure. So good luck with everything, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, buddy. Take care, mate.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.